Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to this program. Tonight, we would like to discuss Zanu PF's Plan A and Plan B of the 2023 elections. This was revealed inadvertently in an audio recording of a meeting. I take it that the meeting is typical of what you would find countrywide in Zimbabwe, particularly in the rural areas. It's in Shona, so we'll try to give, as we discuss it, we'll discuss it in English, referring to some of the quotations that would have been said there. So can listen to this one.
Kuitira kuti pamberi apo pachapinda supu yekuti iwewe wega hatisi but utaura zvakataurwa newakauya wachikuita basa iri. Tiri kuwirirana here vabereki. Saka pepa iri resero iri tinoda kuti chitatu chega chega hakuna uvima tatononokwa izvo tingadai kuti kana kungoti tikapana nguva ya 6 o'clock tobva tauya semaunganire mamaitapa wakwaungoti sero cheanenge ane pepa rake wotoona kuti wekusere kwangu uyai kuno bhoenda uko wesere rakati bhoenda uko wesere rakati bhoenda uko kwangomaka kuti ndingauya here pautotsika ta asina kuuya hanzi kana waita rwendo kumbira kuna sero chea kuenda mutaurire kana kwandiri chairman unosvika ini ndaitoa chinyi ndafanzirwa wanga we ndaita rwendo mushaitai uya kwatama kwaregister nendisiri boba
Wanaenda basa.
Wari kubasa yes ndo turi kutaura zvakangofanana.
Ndio tichienda basa every day ndokumbira kuna sere cheo ndamuno.
Iwe Samari sekuru nyati pindu tere zvandiri kutaura. Ndati chitatu chega chega kwete every day ba.
Akaenda kukumbira ita chega chega. Ndio mwezotaura.
Izgai nyati. Munoti mimi chitatu munenge muri kubasa imimi. Ndicho munopa report kuna sero chair wenyu. Kuti chitatu nini umwangu nendisiri boba ndiri kubasa. Sero chenyu woziwa anenge akutoziwa akuitira kuti azokumake kuti tick present andiri mubazwa zvandutaura handi kuti tinoya every day papanapa tinoya chitatu chega chega chitatu chikasvika totika munhu chitatu chikasvika totika munhu register rine rusanza ndiro iri chipi sero iri kusvika hanzi kana takwenda kovhota sero chair uyu ane bepa rake iri ndiye achanga ari pekutanga hanzi pakuvhota kwako zvemuchaita achanyanga dzako kuita zvaanoita ati muballot box kuti wapinda panumber 1 uyu sero chaya chanyora kuti number 1 apinda ndiobey vanyora panapo obey ningi atonyora pepa ranenge anaro number 2 ndiani ndijohn vanyora 3 ndiani ndisara 4 ndiani tinhingi hanzi zvichakubatisai mega nekuvhota kwako muri kuita according nepepa iyi ndawa usurungopinda chipindireba usina usvika nepana sero chair wako uri utanga wasvika pana sero chair ndiye achabva akutsika kuti tienda wadini enda wapinde uvhota hausurungoita zvataita kare kongoti wasvikako kungosvika kuti ndasvika chitupa changu 4 pautopinda kwautoenda kovhota gore rino zvichinja pane protocol yekuti sero chair ndipo unotanga kusvikira handi sero chair yegaba kune warongwa wakawanda muchawaona musi wekuvhota wacho wanenge wakagarira basa irori sero chair tiutaura ndiye munoziva ndiye wemumutana menyu kune vamwe wasiri wemumutana meduba like waudzwa awo ndiwo wanenge wari kumonita izvozvo wanenge ari kugara pasabhuku izvozvo ombo yako kupai mahighlights chete saka taramba kuti wamwe muzofomoriwe muzimbabwe pazi anenge asina kuatenda meeting kwaisabhuku anounzenyi zviya pasabhuku paimbuzi muri kuizvai vabereki ende hakuna koine mangaraba iwe wakanga wanyozera hako wakuzoti hauna kuyaba sabhuku chaanenge arutarisa imbuzi yake iri kuenda kuna sabhuku basi koruda komangara wobva wataona kuti uri komangara kupi kwaunozobudira ngekuti iwewe uruzi uya kumusangano iwewe woramba kuya kumusangano wezanu PF yenyika iri kutonga nyika ino kwazinovakwa ndiwe, iwewe muridzi ndiwe unovaka nyika ino. Saka mukaenda ingoti tida kuchinja, wabereki chinja hako chinja, asi tida kuona kuti machinjiro acho uda kwachinja kaindini, ngoti wakomana nyika inoita zvese zvese, ngekuti nyika iyi haina kuti umwe samuwana rubva hake uko zvakaita nindini baba pamba pangu kwakuyosa nhinga akuya kuti iwewe panapa ibva ndini dana kugara panapa nemukadzi wako nemhuri yacho. Ndiani anozvibvumira izvezvi? Saka ipapo manje pane kufiwa kwazi pane ruzivo remazuva emaelection akaitwa mangani. Vabereki izvo muri kuita meeting uko pane imwe diga zvatiri kutaura tsa muchabvunza ndichakupai muchabvunza yenyu mhayo. Ndiri kubvunza pane mubvunzo wandabvunza pana kuti mazuva emaelection anzi akaitwa mangani. Muri kuaziva here? Mairi kune a2023 nemusi wa2 toti July, August, September, 2 September irirani zvakabva zvatotaurwa zvese. Saka parirani iyoyo hapachisina kutaurirana ba, ngekuti maramba president kunoku muri zvati aramba president kangani. Murumbozviziva tamuramba kubva muna 2008 na 2020 ani apa 13 kozana 2018 takaramba president kunoku vanhu mukavhotera mamaksi akawanda kune triple C yanga ichiri MDC. Saka hanzi zvino hwendo huno dzokerera izve zvamakaita izvezvi zvekuramba president, endaizve mudzokererezve. Saka kana pane rerani hapachisina kutaurirana ba, motoziva kwaiyo unogona ngofuma hako wakafa ndikoti zvinake enda wafe hako wasati watosvika munogara kozviuraya kodya temika wasati watokusvikira apa. Ndo zvakataurwa zvawabereki. Isusu hatikuchichidzirai tauya kuti tikupewa mashoko ataka izvozvo. Handiti kwakazi meeting sabhuku akakuwa nekutaurira masero chaakafamba. Wamwe takatosangana nawo wari kuita izvo wari kuita iwe meeting hauna kuizwa here? Imwe ndaizwa tiri kuuya ndikati munhu unomumanikidza ndakangoti right. Isu takava tadzikawo meeting iye haana kuuya hatina kumuona. Aita hake zvaari kudini ari kuzwa kuda paditi rake, asi mangwana ukangaone chawaona petozoti nhiki ndiye handidini handitengesaba tichakutengesa ipepa iri rawakakonyoresa kuti ndiri memba yeZanu PF ndinotsigira musangano wababa Mnangagwa ari kutonga. Iri ndiro riri kukumangarira, iri ndiro richakubatisa unhatawa hwako nezvauri kuita kuti kuri kura musoro uchadzokera kuita musoro uri normal. Kana kwazi meeting budai muende kune vamwe.
There we have it. I would like to welcome Benjamin again. Benjamin, if you could maybe give a quick summary of what that audio was saying for the benefit of those who do not understand English.
Thank you very much for having me. Good day to all our viewers. Thank you for joining us. Basically, what the gentleman is saying is Zanu PF has come up with a strategy that will ensure victory in the rural areas. So their strategy is that, like what the president always says is the party is going back to the
Kana makatarapa ndiri mnongona shiko.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So their main focus is building from cell level. So they are going about taking names of every household that is eligible to vote and putting them under their under their name as Zanu PF. And this same paper is going to be used when going to election. When you're actually going into the polling station, you just don't walk into the polling station, but you first go through the Zanu PF agents that would have been posted somewhere around the vicinity of the polling station, where you go and you sort of like they take a register to say, okay, you have gone in on position number 1. You're the first one to go in, and the second person and third person and so forth. So basically now they will be able to know exactly where you have voted, and that is already practically just taken away the rights of any voter in the rural area. And now they've also gone a step further, and they have warned that there's nobody that is going to sell you out. The paper is going to sell you out. That same paper that would be having names. I don't know how they will tally the name and the what you have, the actual slip that you throw in when you cast your vote. But I'm sure they have a way to link the two, and obviously they will have the total number of people that they have that would have voted. And in this case, now it's easier for them to actually know, because now counting will be done at polling station level. So if, let's say, the paper says there's 150 people that are for Zanu PF, and the number comes short of that, they will know that within the cells, certain individuals did not cast their vote for President Emerson Mnangagwa. And he actually bluntly just warned, he says, it's better if you do not vote for President Mnangagwa, it's better for you to die, because all hell will break loose for you. And that day is direct intimidation of the voter. And they've gone on to say that they are going to be having meetings every Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, and that everybody should be punctual and should make sure that they are there on this meeting. If you're not there, you will have to pay a fine, and this fine is a goat that you're supposed to pay to the headman, which is the sabuku of the village. So that's basically the summary of what the gentleman was talking about.
Thank you very much, Ben. I think the explanation is quite clear. This is Zanu PF's plan, and what the old man was saying there is this is not their plan. They were instructed, so they must have gone to some party meeting. He, as the chairman of the area, was in attendance, and now he is passing on the message that they got from those meetings to everybody else. So in summary, then, Zanu PF has got a plan A. Plan A is to keep a register of everybody in the area. So you've got to belong to a cell. And if you don't belong to a cell, you will not be in this register of cell register. And when you come to voting, they will use the same register to note who from their Zanu PF has gone to vote. And from that, they can assess. I mean, if the elections, for the sake of argument, in a polling station, there are 300 people who voted that day, and they had ticked on their own register that 150 of their members from the register went in to vote, and the results came out that 150 voted for Zanu and the other 150 for the opposition. I mean, it's easy for them to say, okay, because they've got the polling station voters roll. These are the 150 who are not on the Zanu PF register. So they immediately know who voted for the opposition. And that is a way of telling people that your vote is not a secret. That's their plan. Reminding people that we will know how you voted, and underlying what Ben was trying to say there, that it's intimidation. And in this particular case, their plan is, in plan A, is to get Mnangagwa over the line, the 50% plus one. If they fail to get the 50% plus one, they will see to it that they at least stop Chamisa getting the 50% plus one. Now, that would be for other people to do, because there will be more than some polling stations where the Zanu PF has got total control of the whole operations. And in this case here, they will see to it that he doesn't get the 50% plus one. So they will be looking at, as far as a cell is concerned, if Mnangagwa does not get over the line, the 50% plus one, they will be looking at the runoff. Mnangagwa must be in it. And this time, the runoff will be held, unlike in 2008, where it took 3 months. The initial vote was done in March. The voting for the runoff was done end of June. This time they're taking just 2 weeks. The initial vote is on the 23rd of August. The runoff is less than 2 weeks later, on the 2nd of September. So it will be a quick one. But they've already got their targets of people who did not vote for Zanu PF on the 23rd of August. Even now, people who are not attending these cell meetings will be seen as there is one of our problems. And if there should be need for a runoff, those are the people who will be targeted. And like Ben was saying there, if you are one of those, you'll wake up in the morning dead. In some cases, it'll be better for you to kill yourself. This is how serious the problem has become here. I don't see how we can meaningfully say this is a free, fair, and credible election. I don't know, Ben, whether you still remember Operation Mavhotera papi of 2008.
Yes, I remember it very vividly. It was a very, very dark time for the rural folk. I remember, some uncles and aunts having to run away from the beatings and burnings of houses and all that day. And if I may just add just a quick word, what this gentleman is saying, this elderly gentleman is saying, was something that was uttered by the president, he himself, and the vice president way before him. And they actually said that we are starting from the cells and we are taking names from the cells. And he says msangano kumasero, that is what he says, the hierarchy is going to be built from the cells and they will know everybody. And I think it works exactly to the plan that, this is why ZEC has started, expanding the polling station so that at least fewer and fewer people get to vote per polling station, such that there's traceability to see who voted where and how. And then this is how they start targeting people. So I just wanted to add that point.
Yes, thanks very much, Ben. Yeah, I think to just expand on that one, in 2008, there were about 10 polling stations in each constituency. And in each constituency, there are about 30,000 voters. And so, and in 2008, there was a constituency-based voters' roll. In other words, any voter in that constituency could vote in any one of the 10 polling stations. Since then, the number of polling stations have been increased. This year, there are over 60 polling stations in each constituency. And instead of the constituency voters' roll, there is now a polling station voters' roll. So that there are roughly about 500 people in each polling station voters' roll. And you cannot vote anywhere else. If you're going to vote, you've got to vote at the polling station where your name is. So this is how they managed to narrow it down so that they will know way by the time the results start coming out, as soon as each polling station is done its vote count, they will know from the polling station voters roll who was on that polling station. And some of them, particularly in the rural areas, they will know them by face. That so-and-so is the one who's come in, because not everybody will go in to vote, but they will know who has come in to vote. And then they will also know who of their own members is coming to vote, because they will mark them on the register. And then they can come up with their own results. You know, if 300 came in to vote, 200 voted for the opposition, 100 voted for Zanu PF, the various leaders will be told, of the 100 who voted for Zanu PF, which one do you think are those 100? Then the rest, the 400, will be the target. And those are the ones that he was warning that you could wake up in the morning dead. And in fact, it could be easier for you to kill yourself because you have been warned. This is not a threat, he said. We are telling you what we were told. This is going to happen. And this is Operation Mavhotera papi, which is what happened in 2008 that Benjamin was talking about earlier on, when Mugabe and Tsvangirai had to go into the runoff. And during that runoff period, the three months, over 500 people were killed. And the whole country, particularly in the rural areas, there were over 1 million people who were internally displaced. And hundreds of thousands were beaten up, raped, and some of them seriously injured. And many disappeared. Many of them never came back. Some of them were kidnapped and then later on released and so forth. But the message was sent. The punishment, they were punishing people for having rejected Zanu PF in the March vote. That's Operation Mavhotera papi. And I think what we are looking at now is, if Mnangagwa does not get over the line, we'll have Operation Mavhotera papi Mark II. This time, they are not going to require 3 months for the campaign for the runoff. They're only requiring less than 2 weeks, because they already have the names of the people who did not vote for Zanu PF, and they will target those. So I think we will be looking at bloodshed in Operation Mavhotera papi. Let's just listen to an audio of a recent video recording of President Emerson Mnangagwa himself speaking after attending a gathering of the apostolic faith people.
Kamunhu kemasirogani pamberi neZanu PF, pamberi nokubatana, asi masoro ganangu ndofunga akanakirawo chechi handimboti pamberi ndokutukana abodo wongu mataura kuti president wenyika vanenge vachifamba nemasoja nechiri eka. Imwi kana munhu atadza munomunamatira Jehovha, dzora mweya wake ite zvinhu zvakanaka, isina rakasha kuti titasa. Tinokusasangora. Asi kana mutiri kuno toziva kuti abuda atiti izvozvo. Motipota muchiti tonhodza pfungwa dzedu idzi dzinoita dzinobva dzava very wild.
I found that video amazing, Ben. You know, he's talking of we walk around with soldiers, and if somebody doesn't do what we please, we'll beat them up. And he's making a joke of it. It's unbelievable.
Yes, it's actually mocking us. And unfortunately, there are those that find humor in it because they are not really at the receiving end of the stick. But once the stick turns and it's on them, I don't think it will be much of a laughing matter. But this basically shows the character of the leadership of Zanu PF. They don't care. I mean, they regard themselves as, you know, the law and the enforcer and everything. So it's quite sad when somebody who is supposing to be, you know, the leader and, you know, the one that is supposed to be giving advice and enhancing the country, taking us forward even to Vision 2030 that he is always talking about, that is talking of ways that are so primitive. That is not how you conduct elections. This is primitive, really. It's not supposing to be that way if you are supposed to be taking us forward. And I find it very sad that, you know, he's saying it, and I find it very sad also that people are finding humor in such threats to other human beings.
Yeah, it is a tragedy. I think we were talking earlier on of the plan B, that if they go to the runoff, they've got their list of people who they're going to target. And as the old man in that audio was explaining, you'll wake up in the morning dead. It may be even easier for yourself to kill yourself. This is not a threat. We are just telling you what we were told. And here is Mnangagwa himself saying the same thing. And this is a church gathering. And he's not even ashamed to say clearly, what if I walk around with soldiers, and if we find somebody who doesn't do what we expect them to do, we'll beat them up. Twice till he learns the lesson and does what he's told. This is really tragic. We cannot deny that Zanu PF is holding the nation to ransom. That is a fact. We cannot deny that Zanu PF is not going to allow anybody else to rule this country. As, again, the audio was trying to explain there, the old man gave the example that if you had a home and somebody comes to your home and says, I'm taking over this home, I'm now the father of the home, and you must leave it, would you allow that? Zimbabwe is not going to allow somebody else to rule it. This is how much the mentality of Zanu PF. They believe the country, they have the right to rule Zimbabwe. And they even compare it to somebody trying to take over power with somebody who is trying to come into your home and tell you, as the father of the home, that he's taking over. You know, this is somebody who has got a totally different mentality. So the ordinary people in Zimbabwe have got absolutely no say on who should govern the country. Zanu PF alone decides who is going to govern the country. And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that if the country goes to, if they tried, I'm sure they will try to make sure that Mnangagwa gets over the line. But if he doesn't get over the line and there is runoff, there's going to be bloodshed. I personally have no hesitation to say that. I think we'll see serious bloodshed in Zimbabwe. What do you think, Ben?
Yes, I agree. I very much agree that, I mean, we're already seeing people getting beaten up, you know, the videos, people getting kidnapped, you know, some are already living in fear. They've already moved from society that they were accustomed to, just because, you know, they do not support a certain organization or a certain party, which defeats the purpose of what they claim to be democracy. And just to comment on the statement that Grace had posted, to say, you know, the other you know, nations should see this, especially. The thing is, I think the other nations have seen this and are echoing so hard to try and say, you know, there is no democratic space in Zimbabwe. You know, it is quite unfortunate that it is our opposition and us as individuals that are not taking well, we are not listening to the advice that we are being given, but rather we are willing to go ahead, even though the environment is not conducive to have free and fair elections. Because, I mean, look, if everybody in the rural area has got absolutely no say, and they have to do exactly what they are being told to do, their rights and, you know, their choice is already taken away from them. They are like, you know, animals being led to the slaughter. You don't have a choice. You just go until the next thing you are dead, which is a big violation of the United Nations Charter. So it is us that I think have a problem, because there are countries that are saying, that are talking on a daily basis to say Zimbabwe needs to have reform so that they can actually have a somewhat decent process. I know we cannot be perfect overnight, but somewhat decent. But as it stands right now, I don't think we are listening to them anyway. We're actually just shutting our ear to them and saying we are going ahead no matter what.
Well, that could be a conversation for another day. I think for tonight we really want to emphasize that Zanu PF has got a plan A and a plan B, and plan A is already in operation, and part of plan B is already in operation, because part of plan B will be executed once the results are clear that Mnangagwa has failed to get over the line. They will deliver. So the results that Zanu PF are looking at now, ideally, they want Mnangagwa to win the 50% plus one. And they've got ways, since they control everything, they'll try their best to make sure that he gets over that line. But even if he doesn't, they will immediately execute. In fact, the last phase of Plan B will be executed. And that last phase is just purely, they've already, in these last weeks before voting day, they are attending these cell meetings at least once a week, and marking registers of who is attending. And those who are not attending and then identified as you are not supporting Zanu PF. And those are the people who will be targeted. And that is what we are looking at here. So they have got their target lists. And the minute they realize, okay, Zanu PF did not win the election, they will know from each polling station who voted for Mnangagwa and who voted for the opposition. And those people who voted for the opposition will be the target. And in less than 2 weeks, the people will be asked to go and vote again. And by that time, the message would have been rammed home of, you voted at the wrong place last time. You dare not do it again. I think this is not a threat. It is the reality on the ground. We've just listened there to Mnangagwa himself. He even laughs about it, of how he moves around with soldiers. And if somebody is not doing as they are told, he will tell the soldiers to beat them up. That is the reality of Zimbabwe. Maybe in Ben, you'd like to give your closing remarks. Then we'll replay that audio of Mnangagwa himself, telling what he does to people.
Oh, thank you. I don't have much to say. I would just want to advise people to be careful of Zanu PF. These are just not threats. We have seen this before. If you were not there or you were still much younger, to have seen the 2008 runoff election process, where a lot of people were seriously traumatized and hurt, and some even killed. It was a very, very dark era in our country's history. And here we have the same problem that is threatening to come back once again. And I seriously think that this is a time where we should take heed of advice and know that Zanu PF is just one of what we call the bad boys. So let's say the bad boys are back in town. So just be careful, and that's all I can say. And God bless.
Thank you, Ben. Let's listen to Mnangagwa explaining again why he moves around with soldiers.
Kamunhu kemasirogani amberi neZanu PF pamberi nokubatana asi masirogani angu ndofunga akanakirawo chechi handimboti pamberi nokutukana abudo wongu mataura kuti president venyika vanenge vachifamba nemasoja nechiri eka. Imwi kana munhu atadza munomunamatira Jehovha, dzora mweya wake ite zvinhu zvakanaka. Isina rakasha kuti titasa tinokusasangora, asi kana mutiri kuno toziva kuti abuda titi izvozvo. Motipota muchititonhodza pfungwa dzedu idzi dzinoita dzinobva dzava very wild. Motitonhodza kuti aiwa panyika vanotadza varipo vanofanira kuchengetedzwa nyange vachitadza. Zvino kana uchida kutonga nyika kwemakore ugoramba uchingotonga unouya kukerekwe kwaunonamatigwa nyama yavora mufriji. Nevanga vasina nyama vaingotauravo kuti nyama yavorera mufriji. Zvinavako chiuya tinzwe kuti yavora sei, magetsi ariko. Ndadzipiwa nzvimbo idzodzo ndataurira vachiwenga kuti aiwa iwe ndiwe musoja. Ndanoti attention chikoro chavakwapa. Vakati attention chikoro chavakwa. Ndaida ndaona nguva yekuti nditare nguva yakareba nemwe nekuti ndikatarirawo. Mbosimuka chiwenga waone. Wona vakaita svimbo dzinda. Pese ungavaunganidzavo here vakada kundida navo kuti uya adzungutsa. Tinototenderera kwese tichikumbira vhoti. Zvinondanza kuti takatowina tavamo. So ndikabona zvamakaita izvi ini kugara ndichigara ndichiuyavo kuno musi wandinongofa kudenga nyengu. Ndikagonzi naJesu kuti iwai ndakakuvanamati nyengu ndainda ini.
Well, that is tragic, and all he's thinking about is how to retain power at all costs. And he is not going to accept any situation where he is not in power. It's as simple as that. And in Zimbabwe, that is the reality. These elections are not going to determine who is going to govern. Zanu PF has already decided that Zanu PF will remain in power. The process itself is only to endorse, to give legitimacy to Mnangagwa and Zanu PF. If the people try to vote otherwise, you see to it that their vote does not count. And if there is, God forbid, a runoff, I think we're going to see bloodshed. We are going to go back to what happened in 2008, where so many people were killed, so many people were beaten up and injured, so many people were raped, so much property was destroyed. And I think most people who remember that know that this is serious. The intimidation is going up through the gears right now. Most people in the rural areas will just vote to make sure that they are safe and attend these cell meetings, whether they like them or Zanu PF or not, just for their own safety. And to call this process a free, fair, and credible election is a mockery. And I think this is the reality that most Zimbabweans are being dragged into, all because the opposition does not care about free, fair, and credible elections. But that's a conversation for another day. Today, we wanted to talk about Zanu PF. It's Plan A and Plan B, and what it really means in real life. With that, thank you very much, Ben, and the listeners, good night.
Thank you. Good night to our valued listeners.